Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today in focus, the game Old World. So for those who don't know or who are new to the game, Old World is like a civilization-like game with a few key differences. It's limited in turns, basically 200 turns. Under normal circumstances the game should finish like 150 turns or less. The second key aspect that differentiates from other games of this nature is the fact that the city sites and therefore the number of cities you can actually found is limited and fixed on map generation. The third one is basically set in ancient times, so you are limited with wonders and all the text relevant to that period. And fourth, the game is heavily event driven. You will have a lot of events on every turn/year that will determine the outcome of your empire. Sometimes you have just sucky choices. So there's that. Now that I've done a little bit of brief overview, let's go and check the map settings, which is the purpose of this video. I recommend you start with an advanced setup and not the simple setup. The simple setup is just that, but can be severely misleading, especially on difficulty, because there are a lot of layers beyond just the normal difficulty layer, like it is present on many games. Basically on many games you only have one difficulty tier, some of them have two, but that's about it. So I recommend going to advanced setup and not simple one. And now let's get over every single one of them. It has quite a few options, so this is gonna take a little while. You start with a nation, leader and dynasty. I will not go over this. It will be a preference on your play style. Some of them give culture, some have more civics, military, etc. So I will not insist on them. Depends on you specifically. Now let's go over difficulty. Now the first difficulty is the most usual one. They have the new able, just, good, everything until great. Basically every single one of them emphasizes one thing: starting resources and or research and orders that are given as being available to each nation. So this is the only thing that you get, plus rebels if the families that govern your cities are angry, increased chance, and or invasion from different lands. Barbarian, basically, raiders are barbarians here. So this is the first layer of difficulty, which is the more obvious and present in most games. Now opponent setup. Tribal strength. Apart from barbarians, you'll also have tribes, which you'll have to fight. They cannot found cities or anything, but they can be very annoying. You will have from none to passive to raging, which means a lot more barbs, a lot more tribes, and they will fight you off. Depends, but basically barbarians will always be at war with them. With the tribes, you can negotiate via events, or if you have an ambassador and whatnot. So these are the settings. I usually set it on normal, but if you want a challenge, obviously you can go to strong or even raging. Every single individual setup is right here. I suggest you go over it before setting it up. It is important. Number of opponents, it is totally up to you. The more the crowd is gonna get, so I usually set up it to maximum, but it's totally up to you how you want. Basically, if your opponents, you'll have more city sites available to you to conquer and or settle. Now AI aggression, this is mostly self-explanatory. If you want an easier game, you go with passive or competitive. You will probably a lot more likely to engage in war with them. I will set it up on normal, but it depends on your play style. You can go for more conquest and take cities and points, or you can go more turtle, build wonders and whatnot, accumulate culture. The third one, which is more important, AI handicap. This one again, if you want an easier game, go high penalty or very high advantage. This very high advantage can be very crippling. I mean, it's for you, for the human player. Disadvantages are significant, especially the happiness and the research. You're not going to be able to catch up with them. or it's going to be very, very difficult. But if you want an actual challenge, this is it. AI development. This one is highly misleading because it's extremely important, especially in the context of this type of games. Fledgling basically means if they have no advantage, you will start with no extra cities. From then on, they start with a lot more cities, ending up with 5 cities and techs. Well, this is extremely important given the nature of the game, given the fact that you have a lot less city size to actually take advantage of. If every single one of your opponents start with 5 cities, the map is going to be pretty barren for you. Probably almost nothing to settle, or very, very few. And this is a massive advantage, like the name suggests. So if you want the AI to kick your ass, start on massive advantage, 5 cities, and very high advantage on AI handicap, which is not an actual handicap. The rest will not matter very much. It's gonna pose quite a challenge with these two. The rest are barbarians only, tribes only, default AI dynasties, or ruthless AI. This is totally up to you. You can have just barbs or just tribes. Default AI dynasties, I suggest you put it on. This one definitely should be on. Ruthless AI, if you want to make your game harder, definitely. It's basically like a civilization when the AI gangs on you if you are close to winning. So if you want extra endgame challenge, this is definitely to be checked on. What else we have? The rest is basically on your terms. Depends on what you like. Mortality, just standard. I usually leave the standard. Turn scale on years. Event moderate. You will have plenty of events to deal with, but you really want more, than you can put it on high. It's gonna be a lot of events, believe me, like on a yearly basis. You'll spend basically 1/3 of your time minimum to dealing with those events and making decisions. Succession, then gender, this is totally up to you. It doesn't have an actual game impact, so if you want just male before females or anything like that, totally up to you. And succession order, oldest, youngest, or any other variation here. I usually go with historical accurate ones like male before female, firstborn before second, so on and so forth. This one is usually off. It's how the game is designed. Basically it goes against the narrative, but you can put them on if you really want to. I usually leave them off. I suggest to leave them off as well. Victory conditions, very important here. It's points. It's basically you'll need twice as many points as the one behind you to get an automatic victory, or you'll need a certain number of points based on map settings. They're usually available at the very game when it starts, when you can see how many points you actually need to win. Double victory, if you have this one enabled, you have twice as many, you win. It's not gonna be that, especially on higher difficulty settings. Having twice as much, it's gonna be pretty darn impossible. Ambition victory, this is human only. You'll basically have missions of sort that will be available to you. You can complete. So far I only once managed to get 8 or 9 ambitions done. You will receive ambitions on the monarch death, or those will be legacy if you manage to fail them during the monarch's life and he dies. You'll have like 20 years / turns to actually complete them. This will be given to you by various events. You can decline them altogether and your ruler loses some XP, or you can accept them. If you fail them, you get -2 legitimacy. Legitimacy is an important part of the game. It enhances the bonuses that your rulers have. Usually I leave it on, but again, this is available for human players only, so if you have a problem with this one not being available to the AI, you can definitely turn it off. Time victory, this one is, again, the game is designed to be in 200 turns. Normally, like I said before, it will end around turn 150 or less, but you can toggle this one on and off. Automatically it should be on 200 turns finish, but if you turn this one off, the game just goes on and on until nobody's left, but it's not designed for this, so it's not very well balanced for this one. I suggest to leave this one off like it is, well, on in this one. Time victory should be on. Points to win, this affects the number of points that you need to win. I usually leave it on normal because it's not designed for anything lower or higher, but low or high basically means that you either have a shorter game or a longer game. It's totally up to you what you want. Personal preference if nothing else. Now let's go over map setup. Basically you have continent and a bunch of other conditions here. It's totally up to you. Personal preference in the end. You have like arid plateau, desert, hardwood forest, and a bunch of other stuff I will not go over individually. They're pretty much self-explanatory, so it will be totally up to you. Personal preference, nothing more. Map size, well, this one is I usually go for the huge one. It's not that huge in game compared to other games. Totally up to you. It influences how many cities you basically have available. Player start location. Well, this is again totally up to you. There's not much of a choice, either coastal or inland. Again, personal preference doesn't have much impact due to the fact that the maps are random. So coastal is basically you have access to water and whatnot, ocean, which is less important in this game. It does have some importance, but it's not critical. It's not designed for a lot of water combat and whatnot. Extreme terrain, tundra, desert, either. Again, totally up to you. Some ones like the pyramids do require to have some desert tiles, so do bear that and take that into consideration. Other settings, user density, self-explanatory, city site density, how many city sites are available, and proximity. Again, totally up to you. A high number means that you will have more settling options available. Totally personal preference here. Anything else? City sign unrestricted, basically the maximum that is available for that map, the map size. The rest you can choose your own. Depends again, personal playstyle. There's nothing wrong with it being on, off, restricted or unrestricted or capitals or just, well, random if you want to play with it. Anything else? More rules. Force march. This one is basically, I like to play with it disabled. It's totally up to you to decide if you want to allow the units by consuming extra orders to go further than they're actually programmed to. Usually the human player is better than the AI at using this stuff, but I leave it up to you if you want to give it a try. Double fatigue, basically they will go beyond their fatigue limit in just double. I usually play with it disabled. Feels like a bit of a cheat, like I said, so, but I'm gonna leave it up to you. The rest, no fog of war, lock save, no undo, lock player option. This one it's less important, but they come down to personal preference. No fog of war, this is self-explanatory. Lock save, basically again cheating, totally up to you. No undo button, I don't recommend it. Sometimes if you want to play a bit faster and you're careless and you make some mistake, this one will allow you to actually correct that error, but again, personal preference. The random my family is random tech tree. I don't really recommend this one, especially if you want to get some experience with the game. If you are more experienced, then this one is an extra challenge. I don't know how the AI deal with this one, so because I haven't tested it, so I suggest you leave it off. No starting text. Basically this one makes remove some of the bonuses that the AI can get on higher difficulty settings, so you can put this one off and actually reduce the difficulty without reducing it, if you know what I mean. I suggest you keep this one off if you want to maintain the original intent of some of the settings of the game. on the difficulty levels. Show pending critical hits. Well, this one is totally up to you again. I rather know if I'm gonna get a critical hit, but if you want, keep the surprise, then should be off. Competitive mode, I haven't actually used this one specifically, but this one is free because it's for multiplayer, so multiplayer only. No ancient ruins. This one is basically the equivalent of goodie huts from Civilization games. Totally up to you. I usually like my goodie huts. It's part of early exploration, so you can put your scouts to actually work and give you something beneficial, but personal preference again. I usually like it to be on if you want to experience the game to its fullest. One city challenge, self-explanatory. Only the human players, I presume it only applies to it. I have never played with this one, but you have basically the starting city, your capital. If you want a mega super challenge and you put the AI super mega bonuses, this is for you. City raising. Usually this one it's not allowed, so it's gonna be totally up to you. I suggest being off. But historically speaking, city raising has happened, so if you want to go the historical route 100%, it should be on. It doesn't make much sense for you to raise cities because how the victory is calculated in this game for score, and that score is based pretty much exclusively on the culture that each city has. The more cities you have, the more culture you're going to have, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Totally up to you though. And reset random seeding or reload. This one could help with some of the bugs on the recalculation. Could help. Hard to say. In my experience, it usually helps, but it's also a cheat at the same time, if you know what I mean. You have a low-end combat odds, you attack, save, and you can get whatever result you want. It could help in some bugs in some cases, but that's rare. Very, very rare. Totally up to you. Okay, so I think I went over all the settings. Some of them might require even deeper explanation, but for the purpose of this video, for somebody who doesn't have much experience with the game, I think it should be enough. I didn't went over the family and the civilization setup that requires an entire video on its own. Okay, that's about it for today. If you like what you saw, please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.